And we are here in Milford, just south of Milford Center, which is to the left, and that's the old Milford train station. This is where both the Milford branch from Framingham came in, and the track would have been on the right hand side and would have crossed right up where you see John walking down to. And this little part right here, this is the Hopkinton Railroad, or which became the Hopkinton Branch. Went up to Hopkinton Center, and then there was a continuation over to Ashland. So we are ending the Milford Branch, or the Holliston Branch, whichever you wish to call it, here. And we're going to start part 2, the Hopkinton branch right here. Of course, the two tracks came together here and continued on down towards Franklin and those places, which is now CSX trackage. So, beginning part 2 of our Milford Hopkinton branches. Like I said, we just ended the part 1 at the Milford station on the Milford or Holliston branch. Now here we are at the end of the track for the Milford and Woonsocket Railroad, which is now CSX property. And this is where the Hopkinton branch began. The track crossed right over. And there still is some rail down there in the pavement. On this side too, where John is standing. Right there. And so the Milford and Woonsocket Railroad ended, and the Hopkinton Railroad began, and just went straight down this path here where all the cars are parked. Yep. So this will begin part 2 as we journey back up to Hopkinton. We are here at the Main Street crossing. As you see, the town of Milford has started a bike path on the old Hopkinton Railroad line, and the track crossed right here and continued that way, northbound towards Hopkinton. And Milford actually calls it the Upper Charles Trail.
Which is actually the same name as the Boston and Albany's Milford Branch Trail. So they combined them.
So they're actually naming it after the Charles River, because this is where the Charles River comes down this far southwest actually of Boston. So it's not as big in this area as it is in Boston, because we all know the Charles divides Boston and Cambridge, and we know how wide it is. So as you see up there, the Milford Upper Charles Trail here on the Hopkinton Railroad main line.
Yep. And interestingly enough, this section of the line was still active up until 1981. It lasted all the way up into Conrail. And the line continued up to a customer, which is today occupied by Maine Oxy, which was where we're heading next. They continued to serve there until, I guess, the customer didn't want cars anymore. Trucks assumed the operations. And this portion was the last piece of the Hopkinton to be abandoned.
Okay, little info from John, and now on we go up this line. Okay, we're right down the line from where we were. Main Street crossing you still see down there. We are here at some of the Milford athletic fields here, the Pheno Field, which I believe is, yeah, it's probably just a baseball field, even though there are football goalposts here. I know this is not where Milford High plays their football games. I think they play them on the Milford High School campus, which is in another part of town. And that's continuing to look north towards Hopkinton, and the last customer that was on the line until it shut down in 1981 They now have a lot of truck traffic, John just told me. So maybe in the future the Grafton and Upton can try and extend their track down here and serve this company. You know, run it alongside of the bike path here. So here we are at Pheno Field in Milford, continuing to head north towards Hopkinton.
Okay, so I have the camera right now, and we are off of Dilla Street right now. And you can see there was clearing here. This is where the tracks came through. Looks like there was at one time some kind of an entrance here, some kind of a path, which probably existed after the railroad. If we start walking out, there's Dilla Street. And the tracks crossed here and went straight across. We're looking north right now towards Hopkinton. Not far up from here is where the tracks crossed under 495, which is where we're heading to. I think we're heading there next. But this is where it crossed Dilla Street. And right across the street there is the Milford Water Company. So we're continuing north on the old Hopkinton Railroad. Alright, we're on 85 right now, heading north towards Hopkinton. We're about to pass under 495. In a moment you're going to see where the bike trail comes up to 85 and passes under. The bike trail had to reroute. You can see the bike trail's right there. The bike trail had to detour under 495 this way because the right-of-way was completely buried in when 495 was built. So the bike trail's right there, and you're going to see it curves off back into the woods there, and the right-of-way passes underneath the power lines here. And we're going to continue on 85 right up to where the bike trail crosses, and that's where the tracks cross. So that's going to be our next spot.
Okay, thanks to John for filming as we went under 495. Now we are at the Route 85 crossing here in Milford. And as you see, the bike path's now back on the original right-of-way. And this is where the track crossed over Route 85. We're looking back towards Interstate 495 and Milford Center. So that's looking south. And this way is looking north as we are approaching Hopkinton and Ashland. So we are at the Route 85 crossing, and we are continuing on northward.
Okay, so what we're looking at right now is a spur track that came off of the main line. This was the section of track that connected the line to Fletcher's quarry. So the right-of-way is perfectly clear on this end where it comes in from the line. And if we turn around here, it is pretty much, you can't even tell where the track even went. But it goes right into Walden Way across the street, which is now a major housing development. They built right on top of the old quarry. So if you look at this end. So yeah, this is the old spur to the quarry. And the line continued to service the quarry up until about 1959, when the line was abandoned between North Milford and this point. So from here we're going to continue north up to the next crossing, which is at 85, and continue towards Hopkinton. So this is the old Fletcher's Quarry spur line.
Okay, we're here at the other crossing of Route 85. This is where the bike path begins actually, and then heads down to Milford Center, and then you take the Milford line out of Milford, heading up to Framingham through Holliston. So this is the map of the northern part of the town of Milford, because the town center is right at the bottom, and that senior center, that's where we began our little journey, because the senior center is right where the old depot used to be. And in part one, we actually came in from Holliston and came around down to the station. Now here in part two, we are going up the line. Now here, right at Cedar Swamp Pond, is where the bike path deviated. Just a little off the right-of-way, because the right-of-way went right along Cedar Swamp Pond, and then the trail rejoined the right-of-way right at 495, had to go around, and now we're back on the right-of-way. And this is where we are. We're right on the Hopkinton town line. So this is the board giving people, information about the bike path. No information about the railroad, obviously. So right here, as you see, is a little curve. So if anyone wants to just go straight back to Milford Center, they can do so, and everything. But the track actually came through where those clumps of trees are, and actually on the edge of this little parking lot, and crossed Route 85 somewhere in that approximate area. And then there's a private driveway that was built on top of the right-of-way, and from here on in, the right-of-way is going to be a little difficult to try and follow through Hopkinton, because Hopkinton has not made their portion into a rail trail. Don't know if they're going to, don't know if they're planning to, or if they're working with Milford to try and extend this over, but this is where the Milford bike path ends, and from here on in, we're just going to be seeing an abandoned gotta get my English right, right-of-way that's just going to look like a dirt path, like a lot of the right-of-ways that we follow. So here we are at the Milford-Hopkinton town line, where the Milford Upper Charles River Rail Trail either begins or ends, however you look at it. So the next destination will be somewhere in the town of Hopkinton. And Hopkinton, for any of you who are not from Massachusetts, that is the town where the Boston Marathon begins. So, off to Hopkinton. We are now in the town of Hopkinton on Granite Street. We're looking back towards Milford this way. And apparently the town of Hopkinton has preserved part of the right-of-way as a recreational trail, because there are signs all around here, saying that this is a recreational trail, but can't fish, can't hunt, can't do anything. It's just a hiking trail. Say hello to John. And so the track crossed Granite Street right here, and I believe it went just to the right of that white picket fence, but this house looks pretty much brand new, so it had to have been built well after this was abandoned. So I would say like right along the picket fence, either to the left or the right, is where the track went. But this is definitely the Granite Street crossing here in Hopkinton, and I'm looking towards Hopkinton here and Ashland, and our next stop will be closer to Hopkinton Center.
It's just the next one up.
Yeah, and we'll probably see where the marathon begins. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, we'll eventually.
So this is along the right-of-way here in Hopkinton, which is not a paved trail. and don't believe it's part of the Upper Charles River pathway, but apparently the town of Hopkinton has preserved part of the right-of-way after the house that built on top of the right-of-way in Milford. So if we were to continue to walk towards Milford, which is to the left, we'd probably wind up at that house on the town line, and Hopkinton is to our right. This is a sign about an old granite cutting yard that used to be here, apparently right over here, which is now part of the town of Hopkinton's, the town of Milford's water supply, probably both towns. But it's nice to see this plaque here, so apparently the town of Hopkinton is trying to preserve at least part of this old right-of-way. Okay, we're at one of the two crossings on Loop Road here in Hopkinton, right around the athletic fields for Hopkinton Youth Athletics and Hopkinton High School. So we're looking towards Hopkinton Center here, and this is where it becomes a bike path again. The last two crossings that we were at, where I did not film but John did take pictures, it doesn't look like it's a bike path at all. It's just an overgrown gully like that down there. But over there, you can't see it as much, but you can tell there's an embankment right there, and that's where the tracks were. So don't believe this road was here when the track went through, because this place actually looks like it's pretty much been built in the last probably 30 to 40 years, and that would have been like 25 years after the line was abandoned through here. So here at Loop Road, Hopkinton, Mass, near Hopkinton High School is where we are on the line, and so we're heading for Hopkinton Center and then hopefully to Ashland, where the line branched off the B&A. And here we are at Hopkinton, just to the west of the center of town, and this is where the Hopkinton Railroad crossed over Route 135, I think this is. And this is where the station used to stand. This is now Benjamin Moore and Hopkinton Lumber. The station was moved down the street, but the right-of-way went right through here, right into those woods over there, where it circled around to the north of the center and banked towards Ashland.
So, a little bit of information. Basically, according to my little list here, the first abandonment took place in 1938 between this location and Ashland. The tracks were removed in 1940, so anywhere beyond here was abandoned as of 38. General freight to Hopkinton continued until after World War II, and when the trucks assumed much of the work. The line between this location and Fletcher's quarry was abandoned in 53. So.
Alright, so looks a lot different now than I guess it did during the World War II or the Depression era, before the abandonment. So we are going to be heading back towards Ashland now, because that's where the rail line officially branched off.
Well, actually, before we do that, we're going to go down the street a little bit, and we're going to actually go see the Hopkinton Depot where it's located today.
Okay, I knew they relocated it, so John must have found it. So we're going to go there.
It's just down the street. Okay, so we're a little ways down the road, just to the west, and here is where they've relocated the original Hopkinton station. It is in very good shape. Still bears all its, it's all its markings. There's a little sign on the door there. Circa 1872, when the station was built. And it looks quite nice here. So thankfully it's right out in the open. It's right next to a lake over there. And we're gonna go, there's a placard on the rock over there. And we're gonna go see what it says, although I'm not 100% sure if it has anything to do with the station. But we'll go take a look at it. But this is the original Hopkinton Depot, and it's a relocated spot. It's right off of the main street if you're ever in the Hopkinton area and you want to come visit it. Okay, so we're looking at the little placard here. Doesn't have any information about the station. It's really just, you know, just dedicating those who perhaps helped in its restoration. But that's what it says. You can see the pond back here, which looks very nice. And there's a little foundation here. And so there's the depot. So this is Hopkinton, and we're continuing north up the line towards Ashland. Okay, we're on 85 again, and we're just beyond the Hopkinton station. You can see where the right-of-way comes in there, supposedly across a grade. This is just beyond a sharp curve in the right-of-way. Due to the hill in which Hopkinton is located on, the line had to make quite a few twists and turns in order to keep level. So that's where the right-of-way comes across there, and it goes right into a person's driveway there. So this is on 85, and we're moving on.
This is Route 135 in Ashland, and this is where the Hopkinton Railroad crossed over the highway. It's very hard to see where the right-of-way is here because of all the buildings that have been built up, but this is the approximate location of the crossing here in Ashland. Okay, we're here in Ashland on McGunkle Road, I guess that's how it's pronounced. And right here is the crossing, you know, with all the bush and shrubs all grown over. But this is where, you know, the track came in from Hopkinton. Hopkinton is that way. And the B&A, or the Worcester commuter line, is to our right. And we're going to go show you right where the junction used to be. But we're right here at McGunkle Road here in Ashland. Okay, we're here in Ashland, just a little bit west of the town center on Cherry Street, and we're looking at where the railroad track from Hopkinton came in. And there's the B&A main line, which is now the MBTA's Worcester line. John taking pictures. And the junction was just about right here on the crossing of Cherry Street. And if this crossing looks familiar, Skyman 2002 has filmed a few videos here. And also some other rail fans have also filmed here. I think Matt Modica, Mr. TNT, also filmed here. So this is my first time here at Cherry Street here in Ashland, Massachusetts. But this is where the Hopkinton Railroad began, or ended, depending on which direction you went, and made its junction with the B&A main line. So, thus ends another video of abandoned railroads of Massachusetts. Hope you've enjoyed these two videos, and we'll catch you at our next abandoned line. I'll just leave you guessing which one it will be.